So I did it again. I waited until the very last fucking minute to pull train. Ooh, baby, baby. I'm continuing on my old habits, but I'm improving. Even though the last 2 days I've waited until the end of the day to fit in my 80 minutes of scuba diving pool training, I'm improving in each session. Or at least I improved last session. Last time I took my week off to recover from my girly ant flow period. The first pool session back, I just freaked the fuck out and had problems staying underwater, even though I was perfectly fine and able to breathe. Just yesterday, I broke that habit at the very least. I'm very happy about it. I basically picked up my progress where I left off. The progress is such I'm able to swim for 30 seconds while holding my breath, simulating an out of air scuba diving exercise. If you run out of air at 30 feet 9 meters, assuming that nobody else is within that distance to provide you emergency air, then you're supposed to hold your breath and descend. Maybe I should describe it better as you should out and descend, but basically you have to all the way up. I think maybe describing it as holding your breath is against the science. I'll have to research it. In any case, the more accurate form is that you ascend while all the way up, but you only have, let's say, that one last breath to do it. So that's why I call it holding your breath, but maybe it's actually technically something different. Yes, I keep burying the headline because I make the titles of the vlogs, but as everybody knows, I go without a script. So I go off the cuff. This time, will I remember to name drop the richest man in the world and a celebrity? I think midlife crises are the coolest fucking thing ever. You'd argue I've been doing it since my 30s. That's relatively early, but I think the earlier the better. If you can start with a quarter life crisis, even better. The point would be, how long do you have to fucking wait to live the life of your dreams? Will Smith and Jeff Bezos this year, in my opinion, have been killing it before life kills them. I'm really, really serious about that. I know that my videos have been tagging Blue Origin, Jeff Bezos, SpaceX, and MZ, the Japanese billionaire, but the reason why is because regardless of what you think about their business, about their politics, whatever, I admire their adventure, their sense of adventure. That's all I care about, because I'm an adventurer, and I honestly would argue that Jeff Bezos is an adventurer. MZ is an adventurer. Will Smith is an adventurer. They've been executing on their dreams in ways that are extremely risky. We'll start with Jeff Bezos because his risky endeavors already made the headlines. He flew to space on his own rocket. I mentioned before that a project I considered, and am still considering, is rocketing up to space myself. That's all I'll really delve into for now, because I've been wavering back and forth on it, but trust me, I've been working on it in the background, mostly in my head, but it's something maybe doable. Think of it from Jeff Bezos' point of view, though. He stepped down as Amazon CEO, as the richest man in the world, and essentially risked his life to fly up in a rocket, realizing a lifelong dream of his. Here's the thing. Yes, Jeff Bezos is the richest man in the world and a billionaire. How can I even find any point of contact, any point of reference to sympathize with him? Well, he had a dream life that he wanted, and you might argue that all the money and wealth that he's accumulated has partially been to execute on that dream life. Space is risky shit. Space is also expensive shit. Of course, SpaceX is probably the space tourism travel leader, as another billionaire, Jared Isaacson, rocketed up and orbited on the Inspiration 4. But the thing is that space does cost money, and Jeff Bezos basically used Amazon to bankroll his dream. You gotta hand it to him. Nobody tells anybody to buy things off Amazon. You buy off Amazon because it helps your life in some way. Okay? Behind the scenes, whatever politicking goes on, that's up to politicians and business people to discuss. I'm just focusing on his sense of adventure. Jeff Bezos basically took still a risk, a calculated risk, but a risk. Space is still risky. Of course, the Blue Origin New Shepard has an overwhelming track record of safety, but in any case, space travel for tourists is still in its infancy. These people are helping to ensure that maybe I, as a normal person, might be able to go up there. Okay? Some might call this Jeff Bezos' midlife crisis. I will cheer anyone on, hell yeah, to do a midlife crisis as early as possible. Because I think that's when people truly start living. Will Smith is another prime example, a famous celebrity who seems to have just recently realized that, in his words, he might be missing something. I watched the trailer of his new Disney Plus show, Welcome to Earth, and fuck me, that rocked my socks off. Anybody, do yourself a favor and watch that trailer, because he basically adventures on all four corners, up and down of the planet. If Jeff Bezos has rocketed himself out to space, Will Smith has basically explored out to the furthest reaches of the Earth as much as he could, from the highest high volcanoes to the lowest low Marianas Trench. That's my guess, because the trailer never actually annotates where he's going. But as somebody who's also trekked lava, I can relate to him. That's one of the ferocious, fierce experiences of a lifetime, because it's so all-encompassing of your senses. Before you can even observe the lava itself, you can smell those nauseous egg fumes, raw egg fumes, from miles away. I've trekked volcano lava in two separate ways. One, in the typical way where you have the red, orange lava flowing like the fiery sun. And another through bubbling mud caves, mud holes, where the color's actually mud. The smell is similar in both, and the risk toxicity similar in both situations. At least Will Smith had a helmet. We never had helmets, but in the areas where you can come face to face with that awesome power of the earth, hear basically the earth's tummy rumble, you can only do it for short periods of time safely. I know that recently a number of volcanoes have erupted around the world. From what I understand, and I've vlogged before, especially in Iceland. They basically, people have at it right up front, but at least from what I'm talking about, these are volcanoes that you can regularly visit because they regularly have their lava flows. The typical, or what we would call stereotypical, red-orange is in Nicaragua, and the bubbling mud cave is in St. Vincent. So we're talking about actually fairly close within the northern hemisphere, North America. But I feel such a connection with Will Smith now because he's doing shit that I've been thinking of doing. Aside from space, another thing I'm doing is space training and also deep ocean training. Will Smith has him in some sort of submersible or submarine down into the depths, and when they turn on the lights of the camera, so to speak, he's surrounded by brilliant bioluminescence. What the fuck? I've heard of this experience, and that's something I'm thinking about. Part of it too is that this skill of scuba pool training is just applicable to so many things. First of all, if I'm ever to actually venture further than the Kármán line of space, most people who do training train in scuba diving settings. NASA has scuba diving training for astronauts because it best simulates on Earth what space is like. So this is me trying to pump myself up, trying to encourage myself to continue on. I want to continue with the progress that I've made. This is really me encouraging myself to continue. Come on. I know every day I'm doing this, but I'm really thinking I'm close. I'm close to something here. So probably today's vlog will be a little bit shorter than normal because I really have to fit in my swimming. But I feel good because sometimes you have to remind yourself what the greater picture is. For me, my midlife crisis, if you'll call it that, has been the best thing ever. Because when I decided to change to the life of an adventurer, I realized that I'm at home within myself. I have no more posturing pretentiousness. Whatever people do in an average life, I've never found that compelling, and I'm making my own way. But these vlogs are to remind me how making my own way is also hard work. Last time I filmed my pool training session, shit got washed out because I tend to want to film in my poor, low-vis circumstances so I know how to improve. Last time, the camera jostled quite a bit because I'm just laying it simply against a surface that can be moved by the wind. So things started off all right, and then as soon as I entered the water, really depended on whether the wind would allow a clear view of the pool. Luckily, that's why I filmed previously, because it's all about volume. If one time fails, another time will certainly work. That's what I'm hoping for. That's what I'm wishing for. So, that's what I think about midlife crises. They are probably the best thing to ever happen, and I'd argue if you have to have been born against your will, like I was, at the very least, have the earliest possible midlife crisis you can, because you'll live to the nines, and you're going to live according to your own rules and how you want to do shit.